It was a weekend full of tension, strategic turns and twists. Ferrari battled honorably in Imola, but finished 6th. Leclerc and the 4th of Hamilton hides much more. From the choice of tires to the final confusion with the safety car, every detail made a difference. Why didn't Charles mount the softs at the decisive moment, and why did Lewis, starting from behind, manage to climb so much? Meanwhile, Verstappen dominated, McLaren paid for some mistakes, and Antonelli saw his home dream vanish in the bitterest way. But be careful, in the chaos of Imola, clear signals have emerged about what is really working and what is not. In the SF25 and with Barcelona on the horizon, the truth is about to come out. If you like the videos, hit like to support me, and let's get started right away. First, I really want to thank Binance for inviting me to experience the Imola weekend. I was there until yesterday, and that's also why you've seen me a bit less active. I was immersed in a crazy experience between the Senna statue and exclusive access to the world of Formula 1. A huge thank you to Binance for this unique opportunity, and the nice thing is that you can also experience it. By participating in the free Bitcoin promo and race experiences in Monza, you can win a full weekend for 2 people in Monza, complete with a meeting with a special guest from the Alpine team, access to the Binance meetup, and even a mini helmet signed by Pierre Gasly. Every day you can earn 100 Satoshi the cents of Bitcoin simply by logging in, trading, reloading the account, or inviting friends. The more activities you do, the more points you earn, and the higher you climb in the ranking. You can find the link to participate in the description. Do it now and maybe we'll see each other in Monza. Ferrari brings home a respectable result from the Imola weekend. Hamilton finishes 4th, Leclerc 6th. Lewis was satisfied at the end of the race, thanking the team via radio. Charles, however, appeared more anxious, possibly due to the built-up frustration. His commitment is constant, but sometimes it risks working against him. Nothing to worry about though. From Friday, it was clear that the strategy would be for a single stop. However, with the higher temperatures on Sunday, the tire degradation forecasts changed, making the choice between 1 and 2 less certain.
Stops, many.
Ferrari started the race with medium tires, then switched to hard compounds for 2 different strategies. Leclerc mounted the medium, following the setup of the first, while Hamilton started with the hard to extend the first stint and tried to make up time on those ahead. A strategy that proved effective. Leclerc anticipated the stop at lap 12, taking advantage of a moment when the average had lost performance. With hard tires, he tried to undercut Russell, who was having difficulty controlling the temperature of his yellow tires. The move also put pressure on the drivers ahead. Piastri, for example, made an early pit stop to avoid the risk of undercut, while Norris decided to stay out waiting for the tires to start working better. The medium compound, once past the peak of degradation, can slightly return to temperature and regain a minimum of performance. Verstappen did the same, staying out as long as possible to then enjoy fresher tires at the end, a particularly sensible choice on a track where it's difficult to overtake. Norris stopped on lap 29 to put on the hard tires. At the same time, Ocon retired, forcing the race direction to introduce a virtual safety car. This benefited Verstappen, who was able to make a pit stop without losing ground on Piastri. For Leclerc, however, it was a blow. He had just gained ground and could virtually be ahead of those who preceded him. With the virtual safety car, all that advantage vanished, and he also had to stop again to mount a second set of hard tires. At that point, both Piastri and Leclerc had good chances to play for the podium, but the traffic and the difficulty in overtaking slowed down the comeback. The simulations showed both fighting for the 3rd position around the 30th lap. Only Hamilton benefited from the virtual safety car. He came back to mount the medium and saved a lot of time compared to a full-fledged stop. A second twist comes with the safety car caused by Antonelli's exit. Red Bull stopped Verstappen to mount a new set of hard tires, taking advantage of the margin for a free stop. Norris did the same, but his tires were already used. Piastri, who did not stop, regained 2nd position. Meanwhile, at Ferrari, there was confusion about the call to the pits for Leclerc. He had been told to come back in, but he had already passed the entrance. Charles would have wanted the softs, but he was told that there were still too many laps left and that the hards would have lasted until the...
Considering.
Given that he hadn't entered Q3, Leclerc had a new set of reds, and the safety car stayed on the track for a long time, leaving only 12 real laps at the restart. But if he had stopped, he would have returned to the track far behind, losing too many positions. That's why the choice to stay on the track didn't seem like a mistake. No one chose to mount the red tire, probably because it was not suitable for that type of stint. However, Leclerc would have needed a new tire to maximize the restart. The used one could not generate enough heat, limiting the grip. Hamilton, on the other hand, fitted a new set of hard tires and made the most of the extra grip, overtook Albon and Leclerc, and launched himself in pursuit of Piastri. According to him, with a couple more laps, he could have also aimed for the podium. On a track notoriously difficult for overtaking, the Maranello team tried to take advantage of every opportunity to climb the rankings after a complicated qualifying. The data collected during the free practice showed a good race pace, almost comparable to that of McLaren. This fueled hopes, especially in front of the home crowd. In the end, the Monegasque defended his position fiercely from an aggressive Albon. In an incident at turn 2, he widened his trajectory a bit too much, ending up taking out the Williams driver. The pit wall immediately advised him to give back the position,
to avoid
a penalty that could have further compromised the standings. A cautious but effective decision. The stewards did not intervene and Charles kept his 6th place. On the sidelines of the Imola weekend, Frédéric Vasseur wanted to clarify several hot points. In particular, the strategic choices made with Leclerc, the management of the end of the race, and the judgment on Hamilton, often oscillating between exaltation and fierce criticism. Stop exaggerating. Lewis isn't a disaster on Saturday and a genius on Sunday. Balance is needed. Everyone is working to improve, including Charles, who continues to make progress race after race. Things don't get resolved overnight, but collective work is the only way to get back to fighting where we want to be. On the strategic front, Vasseur explained that the decision not to mount the softs at the end was made in agreement with Leclerc. With 13 or 14 laps still to go, the option was borderline. We spoke over the radio and Charles chose not to stop after seeing Lewis come back in. A stop at that time would have cost him at least another 5 seconds and perhaps even another position. In hindsight, maybe we could have tried it, but it would have still been a risk. The French manager also reiterated that at the time of the last safety car, the only set available for Leclerc was indeed the C6 compound, which had already proven unstable in Friday's long runs. We had to adapt, he added, also because the two-stop strategy became necessary when Charles found himself stuck in a DRS train. Stopping him early allowed us to change the pace of his race. Another key moment was the one with Albon. Leclerc, in defending his position, went wide in the turn and the pit wall, noticing the investigation, assessed the risks. With a 5-second penalty, we would have slipped back 4 or 5 positions, so we decided to ask him to let Albon pass to avoid penalties. It wasn't a clear situation, but better to prevent. Vasseur also made a broader reflection in view of the next appointment. At Imola, there was more movement than expected, although the real point to overtake remains turn 1. The tire delta helped, but for Monaco, we will have to be very careful. We will introduce the mandatory double pit stop for the first time, and if there was some initial accident, which is not rare on a circuit like Monte Carlo, we would find 20 cars altogether in a very narrow pit lane. We will have to be ready. With this picture, the team principal has sent a clear message. The potential is there, but clarity is needed. Ferrari must avoid impulsive reactions, stay focused, and continue to work on what is missing. The drivers are there, the team is there. Now consistency is needed, and perhaps a bit more courage when it comes to borderline choices. At the end of the race, Charles did not hide his frustration, but he also admitted to having no regrets. "I gave it my all, but today things did not go as we hoped," he said. The second safety car arrived too late to make a real difference, and when I wanted to mount the softs, it was not the right time. I decided not to take any risks and saved what I could. Looking at the bigger picture, Leclerc is aware that problems are not solved with one good race. Qualifying remains the weak point of the SF25, and until a solution is found, every weekend will be a chase. We often tell ourselves we need to understand, and it's true. In F1, it's a continuous process. We are testing a lot, especially on the simulator, but we don't have the key yet. The update expected for Barcelona could represent a turning point, even though Charles himself is not sure it will be enough. The directive on flexible wings could reshuffle the cards, but above all, a structural improvement in understanding the car will be needed. We understand some things and are trying various approaches, but haven't found the definitive solution yet, he added. With Alex, I was on the edge, but in this type of race, you run with your heart and take risks. We all know the rules, and as long as we stay within the boundary, even if it's stretched, it's fine like that. These incidents are common in Formula 1, sometimes resulting in penalties, other times not, he explained. In the early stages, he had also overtaken Gasly decisively. According to him, there was nothing to blame himself for in that move either. Starting 11th is unacceptable. I took necessary risks. I don't think I crossed the line. On a technical level, Leclerc has reiterated how much Ferrari needs to clarify things. I know that every time we say we have to understand and we repeat it so often that it has almost become a catchphrase. But it's the truth, we can't just add a piece hoping it works, we need to identify the root of the problem. The signs are there. We are trying many solutions on the simulator, but we haven't found the right answer yet. With the Monaco Grand Prix now imminent, Charles did not say he was particularly confident. He was direct to the French microphones. No, I'm not optimistic. A dry answer without beating around the bush. Despite this, he confirmed his trust in the team. There must be trust for everyone. I'm doing my best and will continue to do so. It's all I can control. I hope that in the long run this work will be rewarded, but it is and will always be a collective effort. At the end of the race, Hamilton finally appeared calm, satisfied, even grateful. He openly praised the team's work and had special words for Ferrari fans, who welcomed him with warmth and passion throughout the weekend. He didn't expect to get so high, he said it clearly. I didn't think I could finish so far ahead, starting so far behind, but the car today was fantastic. I finally felt in tune with the SF25, a feeling I hadn't had since the sprint in China. Although I don't want to get too ahead of myself, I feel we are making progress. Hamilton particularly praised the work of Riccardo Adami, his track engineer, and the calm that the entire team was able to maintain in crucial moments. The communication was great, I was calm, he was calm, and everything worked out. The strategy was also managed perfectly, the pit stops were quick, the calls always on time. Really an excellent Sunday from all points of view. With a few more laps, maybe we could have even tried for the podium. The SF25 in race trim also surprised him. Compared to Saturday, it seemed like a different single-seater. Hamilton emphasized how the balance found in the car was crucial. The setup was really great. On Friday, we had already seen that there was a good pace, but today the car was precise, stable, fast. However, we need to understand what made it so competitive compared to other situations. This is the work ahead, to analyze and learn, ensuring consistency across weekends. But the strongest emotions for Lewis didn't just come on the track. What struck him most of all was the spectacle offered by the Italian fans. I was amazed by the sea of red and the authentic passion I witnessed. It exceeded my expectations.
Moving at the
Turn 7, there was a huge flag. It felt like going back in time. When as a kid, I watched Schumacher on television. It was one of those moments you don't forget, an experience to carry in your heart. The Imola 2025 weekend marked a bitter debut for Andrea Antonelli in his first home Grand Prix. The Mercedes driver had tire issues in Q2 during the qualifiers, failing to reach the final phase. However, in the race he had set up a smart strategy, starting with hard tires and a single stop like Hamilton, hoping for a favorable neutralization. In the early laps, Antonelli defended his position well, staying in Hadjar's wake and even managing to keep Hamilton behind. With the dirty air and the hard tires, it wasn't easy, but it was positive, he commented. During the virtual safety car for Ocon's retirement, he came back in, mounting the mediums and climbing up to 6th place. But a few laps later, he started to experience problems with the accelerator, with intermittent loss of power. In the end, he was forced to retire. The pedal was no longer responding. Bradley Lord, replacing Wolff, confirmed anomalies from the 30th lap and the decision to stop him to avoid further damage. And Antonelli thanked the fans for the warmth received in Imola, promising to repay the affection, perhaps already in Monaco. Red Bull and Verstappen dominated the weekend, celebrating the team's 400th Grand Prix in grand fashion. 12 months ago, right in Imola, McLaren seemed to be ahead in development. Today, the hierarchies have been overturned, the updates on the RB21 have worked, and Verstappen has dominated. After a brilliant qualifying, he immediately overtook Piastri and set an unbeatable pace. The two neutralizations, virtual and safety car for Antonelli, did not scratch his control, and even the restart did not create problems thanks to a great exit from Ravazza. The Imola victory demonstrated a long-absent technical superiority. Verstappen criticized the setup on Friday, but the team resolved the issues over the weekend. The updates have raised the bar, and now there is optimism for the Spanish Grand Prix, where the new rules on flexible wings will come into effect. Red Bull appears to be growing significantly, and Max can count on a solid team, without internal dualisms like in McLaren. McLaren, on the other hand, struggled to keep up. Norris and Piastri competed fairly, but the Australian compromised the race with a wrong start and a less effective strategy. In the end, the worn tires penalized him. The Imola circuit, narrow and technical, did not help in overtaking, and even the safety car failed to change the balance. On the updates front, McLaren remains cautious. The package is ready, but the team preferred to wait to verify its effectiveness. Monaco will not be the right track to test them, but they could arrive in the following races. The philosophy is the same that brought good results in 2024. Better to wait than err. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to catch the next ones. Let me know what you think in the comments, and see you next time.